Hello everyone and welcome once again to my channel. It's amazing that you are back. Today is a very special day because the channel is growing like crazy. We finally reached today one subscriber. This is a one subscriber special, and I want to celebrate by solving a coding challenge. And I'm gonna be showing you more or less how I think when I solve a coding challenge. I'm gonna show you three different answers to set the challenge. So I hope you enjoy this one, and let me know in the comments if you have anything to share. Also, let me know in the comments if you have a coding challenge that you want me to solve. Uh, maybe I do. I don't know. I can't promise anything, right? But I will try definitely. You can check out my blog too. That will help me a lot because every comment helps me to learn. Right? Remember, I'm not the master of programming or web development. I'm just here sharing opinions and tips and tricks for every single one of you. So let's get started, shall we? I choose this problem because it's really simple and it will allow me to show you what I want about JavaScript. So the problem is this: a discrete. Sorry, let me just zoom a little bit so you can have a better view. Discrete mathematics processor has a class of students, and he's frustrated with the lack of discipline. Right? He decides to cancel the class if fewer than some numbers of students are present when the class is going to start. So the arrival of times goes to from on time to arrived late, and the given arrival time of each student and the threshold of number of attendees. We have to see if the class is cancelled or not, right? We have here our input format, which after reading it, I realized that some of these we are not going to be using. We're only going to be using K, which is the cancellation threshold, the number of students as a minimum to cancel the class. And we are going to be using our array, which is going to contain like this, minus one, minus one, 0, 0, etc. This is the time of arrival. If it's a negative number or 0, the student was on time. Or if it is more than 0, the student was late. So we have here our output format for each test case. We have to print yes if the class is cancelled, or no if it is not. Okay. My advice is that you don't try to think about how to code the solution until you have the solution, right? It's easier, at least for me. That's my recommendation. So let's see what can we do. So for that, I'm going to be using good old GNOME Paint. So if you don't like this kind of videos where an artist like me show you some stuff, this is definitely not for you. But I love to draw some sticky figures. So the problem is this: our teacher has the list, right? This is for class A, let's say, and there is a list of students here. Every student is going to be arriving at certain time. If two of them are late, we're gonna cancel the class, right? So how do we solve this in real life? We just count the number of students that were late when we see when we are going to start the class, right? For example, of the 4 students that we have here, one arrived at 0. That's exactly the time at which the class was going to start, right? The other one arrived 2 minutes later. Another one was here 1 minute earlier, and the other one was 4 minutes late, right? We said that we are going to cancel the class if 2 students are late. So 2 students here are late. What we do, our algorithm is 1 and 2 students are late, class cancelled, right? And that's pretty much it. So I like this problem because I've seen some solutions to the problem. really complex solutions. Creating another array, for example, we create another list and we just add to this list if the student was late, and then but that's not necessary, right? We just need to count. That's what we are going to be doing. So we get our input, let me check, is k, which is the threshold, and a, which is our array of times of arrivals. Okay, so let's do this, guys. Let me just zoom a little bit. I hope this is a good size for you guys. I don't want to have to re-record this, right? So anyway, what we need now, we have the answer. Now, what we need to code this answer, right? Well, we need a function, of course, which is going to be taking the variables that we see. We're going to be taking k and a. We also need a variable to keep track of the students on time, for example. And now we need to iterate the array. So this is our first way of do stuff. This one is going to be, I'm going to try to do it readable, really with good readability, so we understand what's going on, right? So we start our loop, and we're just going to be iterating through to our array, and if our arrival time is less here for every object, every number, not object, inside our array, if it's less or equals than 0, that means that our student is on time, right? So we added to our students on time. Then after that, if our students of time is more than or equals to our threshold of students, then we return that the class is not cancelled, and else we return that the class is cancelled, sadly. Okay, so this should be working. I'm not coding on the HackerRank webpage. By the way, the link to the problem is going to be in the description if you want to fill that out. I'm using VS Code, and the reason is because I can do my testing here and just copy paste when I have the answer. So let's do a simple test. Let's do a console.log, and we're gonna be calling our method or function. Let me see which are the inputs. We're using this, which is 3. I didn't explain what happens with the input format, but since in our function here we're just taking k and a, I'm just gonna translate that this is k and this is our array. So k is 3 and minus 1 minus 3 minus 4 no, sorry, 3 minus 1 minus 3 4 2 minus 1 minus 3 4 2. Okay, so let's use those variables. So we're gonna create the array here, and this should be working, right? So let's hit save and run this little stuff, and our output here is that we're outputting yes. And for our example, the first one of these, the input is yes. Okay, so that's cool. For this one, it's really easy, right? We are just creating a variable to store the number of students of time. Then we are iterating over our array here, and for each item inside, we check if it's less or equals than 0. That means the student is on time. Then we add one student on time to this. Then we only check if the students of time are enough for the class to not be cancelled, or if the class is sadly cancelled. And then we just test this out here. Now, there are other ways to do this. Let me see. We're gonna start with creating our function. And then we are going to be creating our variable here. We're gonna be using for each, right? So let's do for each on our array. We're gonna pass in the x, which is every single item, and we're gonna be checking if this item is less or equal than 0, then we add to our students on time, and after that we just return students on time. If it's more than or equals than k, we just return yes or no. This is a ternary operator. It's really easy. We're just checking. It's like a replacement for the if and else, right? And we're gonna be checking this in the console. It was 3. Okay, we're gonna pass in the same parameters, and yeah, this should be working too. So let's hit save and let's run this little script, and well, yeah, we have 2 yeses here. So this is just another way to do the same stuff. We have new functions for iterating arrays on JavaScript, so we can make use of those. And we are using the new arrow syntax. Well, it's not new anymore, but everyone is still calling it new. So an arrow syntax is this. This is our parameter. There is no name for the function, and then we draw a little arrow, and inside of the curly brackets there is our function. So we just check if x is less or equal than 0, which is exactly the same we are doing here, and if it is, we add to the students of time, and then with a ternary operator we just check if the students on time is more than or equal than our threshold, then we return no. Either way, else we return yes. Okay, so that's one way of doing it, and it looks maybe you can show off a little bit more with this solution than with this classic one, that I still like the classic one more. But anyway, but what about let's say you are in a competition to show some code, or you are looking at other people's codes, you are sharing the code, I don't know, you want to really show off. Maybe you can force yourself to solve this problem in just one line of code, and that's pretty doable. So let's just do exactly that. Let's start by creating the function. It's going to be called Hungry Professor one line, right? And let's do this. We're gonna use the same line to return. We're gonna filter the array, have the length of the array, and with a ternary operator define what are we going to return. It sounds maybe complicated to some of you, but don't worry, it's really easy. We're just gonna return a filter. This is our array. We're gonna check for an item, and we are going to return item if it's less equals to 0. This is returning an array, right? A.filter, it's gonna take an item. This is every single item inside the array, and if this item is less or equal than 0, it's gonna return it into a new array that right now doesn't exist. So we have that new array, so we check for the length, and if the length is more than or equal than k, that is if more we have more students or equals to the necessary students for the class to not be cancelled, then we just return that the class is not cancelled, and else we return yes. So this is one line of code for our problem, and we are gonna console log this. It's what it's 3 minus 1 minus 3. Okay, so we're just gonna pass in the array again, and again this should work. Let's hit save, and let's hope that we have 3 yeses, and surprisingly we did it correctly, right? Let's check this out, and let's submit it to our problem over here. So let's just copy and paste our function. Oh, it's no longer a one-liner. Let's do this. Let's just zoom out a little bit, just so we have a single line of code like we wanted. And now let's just run the code, and this should be passing. Yeah, it passed the test case 0. Let's submit the code to see every single case, and let's hope that we have a good result. It does. Congratulations, we made it. Always solve the problem first, like a regular person, like in real life, like thinking with apples and oranges. And I forgot about coding completely. I don't want to have to be thinking or solving two things at the same time, right? I don't want to try to be solving the problem at the same time trying to translate that into code. Let's just solve the problem and then we translate our answer to code. As you can see, this was a really simple problem, but I hope you guys have another mindset when doing some challenges, or maybe you just learn something new about some syntax for the arrow functions, or for the ternary operator, or iterating arrays with different methods. I will leave a link for documentation about array iteration and some and the arrow function syntax, right? So that's it for me, guys. Thank you very much for being here. Remember to subscribe, like the video if you like it, and let me know in the comments if you want some challenge to be solved like this in the future. So thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next time.